Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video and a welcome to a viewer spectate. So I love when we do viewer spectates because I've always said a lot of obviously the ratings that I play in can be a little bit, you know, not the ratings that you guys are playing in, and you can't sometimes see like, you know, similar mistakes that may be happening in your own solo queue games. Where here, a lot of you will be in the similar rating brackets of other viewers. So we're watching Cartoon Guy today playing Ahri. This is low silver. So I think he's only recently just gotten into playing ranked again, I think. And he did tell me he had a good game. And it was quite a roller coaster, especially emotionally, because the Nami on his team mentally boomed. So we'll see how, you know, see what happens, see how Cartoon Guy deals with it. A lot of the time, the best way of dealing with a mental boom teammate is you just kind of don't give them the attention. A lot of the time, you know, and it kind of is a life lesson in general, when someone is acting out, what they want is reaction, and if you don't give that reaction, they kind of just go, whatever, and they might just start playing properly again. So we are playing a Ahri versus Xerath matchup. So, you know, historically a bit more burst and roam orientated for an Ahri, where a bit more control and poke from a Xerath. Other things mentioning in this game, the Nunu jungle on red team is full AP. He's got Dark Harvest, which is a little bit wild. So first thing I'll just straight away mention when it comes to Ahri, Q level 1 is fine. I do that from time to time, but W level 1 is also very effective. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, W actually does prioritize enemy champions, so you actually can get a really big amount of damage on the enemy champion level 1. Nice electrocute proc there, though. But yeah, you can actually get a lot of damage done with that W, especially something like a Xerath. You know, you can dodge his Q, not easily, but you can dodge it. He's not going to take his stun level 1, so you can't get massively punished, as it were. And, you know, he can't do a crazy amount of damage return. So sometimes it is worth doing a W level 1 start if you feel you could have the confidence of walking up on your opponent. If you're playing against something quite scary at level 1, you know, if you're playing against, I don't know, like an Akshan mid with Ignite and PTA, yeah, don't. But something like a Xerath that hasn't got a scary level 1, isn't going to take stun level 1, you could consider it. Alright, so level 3 is hit. Both, obviously, mid laners will have now QWE. And to be honest, a lot of this matchup will be the battle of who hits what when it comes to their first ability. Will Ahri land the charm? Will Xerath land the E? That will be a lot of what's going on. Now, one thing I would say I like that Cartoon Guy is doing is he's a lot of the time going off to the side. And what that does is it makes Xerath have to choose, are you going to try and hit me, the Ahri, or are you going to, like, hit the minion wave? If you stand in the minion wave like that, that is an example of not doing it correctly, is you never want to give him the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds, and this is actually an okay trade, to be honest. The best of both worlds is when you're standing in the minion wave, so you're allowing a Xerath to hit the minions, which he wants to hit, and you. So actually not letting him do both is exactly the kind of the power of laning against a Xerath. Unfortunately, the Lucian goes down in the early, and it is worth mentioning, it is the Lucian Nami, is very popular at the moment, and they have gone full out aggression with their setup. So it's Ignite Lucian with Electrocute. It is also Electrocute Nami. Now, again, Lucian, I still don't get why he's really popular at the moment. But if I'm not mistaken, the whole Electrocute Nami did get nerfed. So, you know, even though the combo still works good, I'm not entirely sure it's worth playing Electrocute on Nami anymore. First base going back, a bit of, I would say, an aggressive TP. Again, your minion wave has died. You're going to probably immediately just take damage on that TP. So that's where I'd always consider when to go for a teleport. I'd just go to your tower, not directly on the minions that would have going to, you know, pass away. Top lane set does look like he might go down. Actually, he survives because they've got nothing else. Rune setup, though, for Cartoon Guy, by the way, pretty standard, you know, nothing out of the absolute normal. Goes attack speed in the rune. That's not a terrible thing. Obviously, it does ruin your burst a little bit, but what that normally does give is actually helping you last hit with auto attacks a bit more, you know, especially with mages. Oh, delaying the cannon isn't a bad idea if you don't get punished for it. Enemy team is looking for an aggressive play. Good charm, but it's not going to be able to stop the enemy team going on the Kha'Zix. The cannon does happen, unfortunately. And again, basically, I think there's just a split focus going on, you know, probably watching your cannon, watching the minions, watching what's going on over here. It is a lot you know, to kind of digest what should you do. Now, the negatives going here is I would walk up, because right now the Zereth is at level 6. He's got low mana, but he was probably looking to do something. So walking up towards him would just make him second guess going for an ultimate or something. So what I would do right now is, you know, Zereth doesn't have TP. He's low mana. I would try to get level 6, and I'd potentially even look for a hard engage. But, you know, low mana, you have hit your level 6. But what I would potentially myself do is make sure this is warded, because you wouldn't want to get caught here. I'd stand about here and go for a surprise engage, because that, like, look, right now he wouldn't have vision here, and if you kind of crept over there, there was a potential chance of, you know, it might not be a kill, but getting a flash is very effective. Base timing, very good. Base is on a cannon wave. Obviously he has got low mana, so he can wave clear still effectively, but it's not going to be as fast as he possibly can. So hopefully, with the base timing being early, there's a good chance this cannon minion will still be alive. You could, as a little tip for Ahri, use the W on the way back to lane, because that gives you the 40 movement speed. But again, didn't exactly need it, and you do manage to get the cannon, which is very nice. Kha'Zix ganking top lane. Hopefully a dead Tam Kench. Whoa, that Tam's going aggressive. Wow, he's dead. But there, that Tam Kench, instead of even trying to W away, yes, it got cancelled by Set anyway. But yeah, he was thinking about going in rather than trying to escape. That's crazy. So far, not a bad start. Little bit behind on farm. Oh, hello. Obviously, Nunu very greedy. I'd potentially go all in on that, maybe. But you are alone, so I think it's going to be hard to actually finish off the kill. Stop it. No, nice dodge. You could ult. Oh, I like this. I like that a lot. Very good play. Delaying the play, go aggressive. Oh, the enemy team is all here, but you've got backup from the Kha'Zix. Wonderful. Get another stack with your ultimate up. That will probably be the end of the play, but that is absolutely fantastic. Set just died to tower. I guess Tam didn't get the kill. He would have got XP, and that should translate into dragon for your team. So that's very good. Overall, very good play. Good charm hit on the Nunu. Nunu did not react, as you could probably tell, to the ward going down. When the ward happened, he should have moved. He kind of just stood still and let himself get charmed and took a lot of damage. So far, not bad at all. Again, if you're looking for areas of improvement, obviously it's like myself. Farm is my weakness. Definitely farm could be improved. You know, if you get a few minions here, you might be about, you know, high 40s. Your lane opponent obviously is at 60. So yeah, a little bit above yourself. Obviously talking directly to Cartoon Guy at the moment. And again, last hitting with auto attacks, what I would say as well, if you're looking to improve, auto attacking last hitting, especially on mages, is practically the hardest type of champion to last hit on, because auto attacks on mages are really bad. You know, by design, it's a mage. They're all ability focused, not auto attack focused. It's the type of thing, if you are looking to genuinely improve, that is where going into a practice game and playing something like Ahri and just practice last hitting. When people actually say, oh, how can I climb, how can I improve, actually practicing, it's a very, hilariously, it's actually a foreign concept in a lot of video games. People want to get better, but the only way that people try to get better is by playing ranked. Actually going into training, you know, think of any sport, think of any other things in life, you actively practice. You're not playing a ranked match, or you're not playing a competitive match in football every single time you're playing football. You have training, you know, you do drills. So actually going into a practice tool, if you have a bit of spare time, and practicing just last hitting, because the thing is, like that wave, that was a uncontested wave. We lost the cannon there. So on that uncontested wave, I think you got 3 out of the 7 minions. That's the type of thing that is adding up in cost of what you're losing each time that you're missing minions. So it's where going into a practice tool and practicing to basically get perfect farm is something that I would say is definitely worth doing. So like, again, it would be good if you get the kill here. I would potentially try to get that cannon minion as well, but hopefully the kill is happening. Cutting off the exit is what I would do right now, because again, the Tam Kench doesn't really have anywhere to go. He really shouldn't have flashed. He should be dead 100%, and he is, so that's very nice. But yeah, that Tam needed to probably just save his flash. Obviously, this is giving tower aggro over to the Zereth. I would, on the way back, definitely get some of these, because again, you are lower health, but that is going to be a play onto these, which is very good. Lucian Nami is finally recovering their lane. Lucian did get an XP advantage, so he's now being able to take over that, which is good. Not really sure what the Nunu is, because again, Nunu was obviously the king of objectives. but we can actually see on the replay, you know, we can see he's over here. Obviously that bug, well, it's not, well, it's a replay bug, but not really. We shouldn't technically get vision of the Nunu snowball, but because basically it's a replay, in the bottom left I can pick like which do I want, blue team, red team, or all perspective of what. Right now I've chosen that we're supposed to only get the vision that blue team actively have in the game, but there are some things in replays that it doesn't, you know, account for. Nunu ball is one of these things, but overall not too bad. But you know, kind of like what I've said before at the beginning of the game, it's kind of spot on. Ooh, Kha'Zix, that's a mistake. So Kha'Zix is going to go back. That was a bad play. He committed to a play that just wasn't on. But yeah, so far it's kind of what I said is the Ahri is more about, you know, burst and roaming, and the Xerath is more about just being controlled in mid lane and poke, and maybe looking for some global ultis. So this game has pretty much rung true to that so far. Xerath is ulting. If I was the cartoon guy, I would beeline it straight for the Xerath. So he does pick up a kill. I would potentially hide in this bush. So yeah, he was going back up there. Maybe there was vision in this bush. He just looked to stun it. But yeah, that's the type of thing that the thing with Ahri ult is you never want to waste some of the, you know, the 3 starting stacks of the ultimate. But the threat of an Ahri heading to you quite fast, it could make a Xerath cancel his ultimate a second early, or 1 or 2 shots early, and you never know, that 1 or 2 shots might have been the thing that got the Nami killed. So yeah, so far I don't see why the Nami mental boom potentially happens. Bot lane is officially winning so far. Set's obviously having a bit of a rough game, but as the game goes on, he should have a better and better matchup. Obviously, Nunu has gone top lane a fair amount. Get another Huzzy Cannon. So definitely one of the key things, Cartoon Guy takes after me. Cannon minions are a bit of a weakness to Mr. Cartoon, but again, it's one of my weaknesses. Obviously, lovely dodge. I love the confidence of not having to use flash, not having to use your ultimate. Again, a big thing is knowing when you need to do it and admitting to it. I like this. So even if you don't get the kill, this is a fantastic play. So what I've always kind of said, or even if you get the kill, wonderful, very nice play. One of the best engages I've actually seen in a little while when it comes to decision making. So fundamentally, a lot of people in League of Legends, when they get help in the form of a jungle gank or a support gank, they actually lower their guard. And they don't lower their guard, you know, just while the, you know, the opponent has that health. A lot of the time, they lower their guard for the next 30 seconds, because you're like, oh, I've had the help, the enemy team's going to be on the back foot. If you then re-engage on that opponent, literally just as the support kind of leaves, it really a lot, you know, can catch out that person because they're not expecting it. They're like, well, you've just been ganked. You're going to be feeling, oh, are they still around? Sometimes that is the best time to go in, and we just saw that, which was really, really good. So I think Jinx did pick up the kill on the Kha'Zix. Obviously, yeah, Set being 1 and 5 is not great, but Nunu has been top lane a lot. Nami is going for a bit of a peculiar roam. Dragon is up, there's no objective top lane, and she's up in top lane. So a little bit weird. This could be the start of the mental boom, but again, not really sure why. She's putting some vision down. It could be a part mental boom because she's not happy that the Set is 1 and 5 and he keeps getting ganked. So she might have gone there to be like, I'm going to put some vision down. But she didn't put any vision down. So I'm not really sure. But hilariously, Set being Set, he ends up getting first tower. Because again, what is Set? One of the best champions in the game at killing towers. And again, he will eventually win this 1v1. Just as the game goes on, like, you know, there. He's just 1v1 killed with components versus a full item. The matchup is Set orientated. It's just been Nunu has gone top lane a fair amount. I'm pretty sure all 4 kills that the Nunu has may be on the Set. I'm pretty sure it is. I think it's 4 of them are from the Nunu in his deaths, and 1 of them is from the Tam Kench. So, you know. So overall, game's not going too bad. Xerath, interesting item build. So again, Riot has obviously buffed burst mage stuff. Even though we're not really in a burst meta. Again, it's a very, very weird decision that they've done. But yeah, so Xerath buying burst... yeah, I mean, you could argue it's good because Ahri doesn't really get tanky, obviously, especially not doing the which I think is correct, by the way. The Rod of Ages build, the standard burst build for Ahri, Malignance potentially into something, you know, bursty. Xerath is looking for an ult, does get the kill. Looking for a charm, goes to the ultimate like straight away. Nunu, unfortunately, is right there, and that is a double kill for the enemy team. Obviously, full AP Nunu, if anything, is going to help the chances of blue team winning. It never increases the chances of the team that the Nunu is in. It's just not a good idea. The risk versus reward is just simply not worth it. And again, you can kind of see the proof is in the pudding. Nunu is supposed to be the objective gold of League of Legends. Even in Dragons, all grubs went to blue team, and now Rift Herald has gone to blue team. So Nunu has zero control over objectives this game. Which again, for a Nunu is very weird. Ooh, taking a bit of free poke. So again, standing in the middle, I'd say, is where you shouldn't do against the Xerath. Because if he's just going to randomly throw a Q down, it will likely just be in the middle of the lane. Kha'Zix does get killed. Nunu comes in, double kill Tahm Kench. So again, not going well at all when it comes to the top side of the map. Ahri might be TPing. Nope. I thought standing still TP'd. Second, so obviously they did get Feat of Strength, which is good. It's, you know, it's not a negative. I will say there is a newer technology when it comes to Feat of Strength that some people are paying attention to. Again, the Bouse of Fest is one of these people. So the strongest boot, pretty much, Nunu's going to potentially get 1 kill, potentially 2 kills, as they do. So again, game's falling a little bit apart at this time. But yeah, the strongest boot when it comes to Feat of Strength pretty much is the cooldown reduction boot. When that gets upgraded, it's very, very, very strong. And some people will literally not... They'll have maybe tier 1 boots, but they will not upgrade that boot until they know who gets Feat of Strength. Because if you get Feat of Strength, most champions, their strongest boot is actually the cooldown reduction boot upgrade. But if you don't get Feat of Strength, you can just go Mercury Treads or Plated Steel Caps or whatever. Like, go your normal boot. But if you get the upgrade, then yeah, it's actually a lot of the time worth potentially going CDR boots. And that, by the way, is true for probably about 75% of champions. Ult, 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 ult. Right now you should ult. Right now you should ult. So you do go for it. Hopefully it's a kill. There is someone else in that bush. It was a Blitzcrank. And there was a chance that could have maybe ulted a fraction of a second earlier. Lucian coming in. Nunu coming in as well. This could be a dead... Oh, you ulted away a bit too much, I would say. Land this charm. Does land the charm, I think, or not yet. Should be a dead Nunu with the W. Very nice. You do get your ultimate back. So overall, that's not too bad. It's a 2... Well, it's technically a 2 for 2 included in Kha'Zix's kill. Look what's happening top lane, though. Set's killed tier 2 tower. So there's not really anything this Tahm Kench can eventually do. It's just the nature of the matchup. So again, this is where, like, that kind of why the enemy team does what they do. Like, if I'm the jungler, I don't think, like this Nunu, I wouldn't have spent as much time as he did in top lane, because it's inevitable a set will just win. And then, yes, you're delaying that inevitable, but we're still pretty early game, and the set is just completely now taking over. He's killed the top lane tower as first tower. He's killed the tier 2 tower really early in the game, so he's got a lot of gold value. But yet, that's where the majority of ganks went. So, yes, it would be more painful, you could say, for a set to not be ganked, but you're not winning the game by ganking a set. You're just not going to. Just because of how that matchup will eventually go. You're winning this game is if you get the Jinx Mega ahead and she snowballs and beats a Lucian in the early game. Lucian can't snowball. Suddenly you'll probably win the game. But that's not what the enemy team did. So Kha'Zix going for a sneaky dragon. It really doesn't work. So again, Kha'Zix having a bit of a rough game. So yeah, game's not looking great. So gold... Enemy team is about 2,000 gold ahead. They are going to claim the second dragon. But again, not the end of the world. We'll be able to find out what... Oh, no, we already did find out what map it is. It's the wind map. Obviously, Nunu going for a bit of an invade. Do have vision. Could go for this kill. Misses that, but it lands the charm. I'd go all in for this. I'd 100% go all in. Lucian will probably pick up the kill. Nunu ulti does give him a shield, so it delays the kill. Nami goes down to the Xerath ulti. Then Ahri trying to go for the kind of ulting and then charm, but just misses it. But did make him cancel it. But yeah, not looking too hot. If I was the set, by the way, what would I do? I would go bot lane. I would just go bot lane and start going for that tier 2 bot. You've already got the tier 2 top. There is a world that you could just continue all the way here and just put mega pressure on the enemy team. But with Atakan spawning, obviously set does have Ignite, I would just go here. Because basically, Tahm can't deal with the set 1v1. you're going to have to commit multiple people to stop him. Otherwise, there's another tier 2 tower gone. And when the enemy team has to commit multiple people, then your team, the Ahri's team, blue team, should go and do what it can. So we'll see if anything like that happens. Set is currently bot, but he's moving away from it. But yeah, so Luden's actually purchased. So I will say I'm not 100% keyed up with the absolute modern build of Ahri, but this is a lot of mana. So these are 2 items that both are giving, you know, both have the spellbook component. So I'm not 100% sure I would go both of these. I'm not sure. Potentially, maybe it would be like a Malignance into a Shadow Flame. Obviously, the old build with Malignance was Malignance into Lichbane. So that world could even exist. Nami, is she going to steal blue? Yes. A 0-5 Nami stealing blue is a bit weird to a 3-0 for Ahri. So again, that's a little bit odd. Tam Kent split pushing. So again, nice taunt. He will be squishy to the Ahri because he doesn't have much magic resist. But here's the problem that I've spoken about. This Tam is rocking nearly 4,000 health. Burst can't kill 4,000 health. This is what I mean. Riot has done such a weird thing recently of buffing burst, nerfing percentage damage like Leandri's and stuff, when we're not in a burst meta. It's that simple. We are not in a burst meta. Unfortunately, bot lane gets caught. And I will say, when it comes to balance, you know, if people haven't heard, Freak has actually been moved away from live balance. So he's officially still in charge of the live balance team. So his title is staying the same, but he is not balancing the game anymore. He's actually been moved onto player behavior, which is a bit of a weird area to get moved onto because they've just done a mega update on player behavior. So that area will not have a lot of work needed, probably for quite a long time. And it did come out, it wasn't his choice of being moved away. So maybe they just didn't like the direction of his balance, and you know, I've heard different reports of what he's like as an individual, but I think he's quite... And you kind of have to be as a game developer. You have to have a key vision, and whether you take advice, whether you listen to other people, it's a hard area, because sometimes when you are a game dev, you need to have that vision of like, this is what I believe, this is what I'm doing. And if you don't have that, then your confidence will be just absolutely shattered, and you're just going to get walked over by other people. So there is just a world that he had that belief, and they just don't love the direction he's taken the game, and he's not probably willing to change his direction because that's what his belief is. No, this is going to work, and it just isn't. I don't know. So Set unfortunately got caught again. The Set is roughly doing the right thing. What I think blue team should be looking to do, and again, this is where a lot of people say, you know, like, oh, I can't make my team do things. You kind of can. I've had to do it sometimes in games, or when your team is getting, you know, the Set needs to just go on a side lane. That's basically the strongest thing he can do. You, a lot of the time, can be the steam head of just kind of going, right, I'm going mid lane as the Ahri, I'm going to look for a pick, I'm going to ping, like, on the way, like, let's just pick, go to mid and just ping, I'm going this way. And a lot of the time, your team will just naturally gather and go, right, I guess this is what the Ahri wants to do. It is sometimes what you have to do, and you have to take that risk. You know, you are losing the game. You know, you're 11 kills down, 5,000 gold behind. It's not looking too hot. You've got a Lucian that doesn't scale. So this is where sometimes you have to take that step of going, no, okay, I'm going to try and carry this. So that's a nice pick on the Tam. I like that. Nunu does have to flash out. Lucian needs to move from mid lane, because again, he is an AD carry, and he's not moving. Lovely charm by the Ahri. So that is going to be Dragon without the Lucian. Lucian's going to try and go for the 1v1, which I actually would say is an okay decision, but he is already been outscaled. So I think just ulting there might have been his mistake. I think there is a world that he could have maybe used a few abilities, then gone for the ulti. But they do get Dragon, Jinx ult, Xerath ult, but they get ultimately the thing that you were after the most. Just a shame that the Lucian didn't really get involved, and then made an unfortunate play. But Cartoon Guy obviously going, you know, about his play. He's doing really well. Really early upgrade of boots. Maybe a little bit too early. Again, they did make these boots a little bit more affordable. And, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world to buy it early. But would it have been better for that 500 gold to go towards your third completed item? possibly. But I'll be honest, in this replay, I didn't fully pay attention when he bought the upgrade. So if a big fight was about to break out, you had that 500 gold, then buying that instead of maybe Aether Wisp, yeah, maybe that's okay. Obviously, next objectives, Baron is officially up. Nunu looking mid lane. Uh-oh. Nice dodge. Hopefully hits the charm, and then Nunu will just die. So yeah, Nunu is doing AP Nunu things, kind of starting to run it down. It's a lot of the time just inevitable. Set's going for a 1 kill. Doesn't get it. Again, should be just going for that 1v1 over on that Tam. Enemy team need to be actually very careful. Need to be very careful. Oh god, blue team. This is not good. The blue team is just hard forcing it. Honestly, it feels like people like blue team partially, well, the Kazakhs I think is just making kind of mistakes, and it feels like the Lucian Nami are just going for these wild engages because they know they fall off. So obviously they've died 16 times down in bot lane. Our cartoon guys had a great game. 505 now, third item complete. Good wave clear. I'd potentially, you know, look for an engage on the Jinx. Ultimate up in about 9 seconds or so, but good wave clear, that's the main focus. But yeah, ultimately, it is hard to control what your teammates are doing. Part, I would say, of where obviously I've climbed a lot when it comes to top lane recently, because top lane has that ability to be side lane, make crazy side lane plays, but then a lot of the time, a lot of top laners, when they do group, have massive impact. Mid laners don't have the side impact a top laner has. So, like, you can't be Ahri in side lane going, I'm going to break your base open. It just isn't the same effect as a set or something like that. But what an Ahri can do is, I would say, is definitely look for more grouping opportunities. Like that. That's a perfect example. That was a full burst, you know, of a Tam. That was a good 1,500 damage done to him. It looks like he hasn't taken much damage, but that was a lot of damage in comparison. Like, you look at the Jinx, or I can't click on her right now, but the Jinx has probably got about, I don't know, 2,000 health, maybe just a bit over. That's what I mean. Like, we are not in a burst. Fundamentally, we're not in a burst meta, but Riot has just kind of they're trying to force burst to mages, but they're not doing anything about the health meta that we're in. Very weird. It's like the Jinx has got, yeah, 2,100 health. So that burst without any ultimates would have done a good amount of damage to the Jinx. Nice get a little pick over here. Is going to get a double kill. So this is a really nice play. Enemy team is actually doing some of the mistakes that blue team has been making recently of just getting caught. Teleport by Cartoon Guy is available, but potentially what you could do, Set is going for it, does get the kill, which is very nice. Nunu, AP Nunu again. As the game goes on, he's just going to become more useless. That's an ace, and that should be a Baron. That's 100% what you do. You could split potentially what you want to do. Some people on Baron, some people pushing. 100% the Lucian should go over to Baron. Cartoon Guy is completely fine going for this tier 2 because the enemy team are not going to spawn by the time this dies. You can maximize your gold income. So I'm completely fine with Cartoon Guy going over for this. I actually really like this decision because, again, Ahri's DPS on Baron isn't that good. Like, yeah, it'll help you speed it up, but you'll still get it. This, I would say, may be a push. There is a world that Xerath spawns and like starts ulting, so this is actually where you could stay technically in mid lane as the Ahri and put pressure on that the Xerath cannot ultimate over here, but nonetheless it actually just doesn't really matter. Overall, very nice. So again, that's actually a play that Cartoon Guy wasn't massively involved until the end, so that was just good by blue team. Again, especially when people are caught out, you need to make the most of it, and that's what they did. The Xerath got caught. The Tam tried to save the Xerath, but it was too late. And then the Set one-shot the Jinx, you know? And that's the thing, is we're in a health meta. Set right now, his item build is a bit peculiar, but he is running around with nearly 5,000 health on Set. You're like, okay. With a bit of a weird build, you know, it has to be said. You don't build Warmogs really on Set. Oh, Nunu's going to die again. Lucian dies, but honestly, at this stage of the game, a jungler dying, if he does, which he does, jungler's dying is so bad at this stage of the game because objectives are key late game. So I would hilariously ignore the Tam Kench. I don't think he's that important to focus. He is dead anyway, but yeah, if I was the Ahri, there was a little bit of like, oh, should I go for the Tam? I would have just straight up ignored him. I don't know if I'd continue for this. Set is going to though, and again, we're in the meta, baby. Health meta. So even an AD carry cannot do anything to basically a 5,000 health Set. A burst, like if the enemy team that the Xerath has built burst. He can't do anything to the Xerath, and again, building Warmogs, even though it's a weird decision, he's going to be full health in a few seconds. It's very weird, but yeah, overall, not too bad. Demolish now coming in for a set. Tower's going to die, and again, he is still very good at killing towers. Whoa, can we land a charm? Yes, we can. Bye-bye, Nunu. AP Nunu, man, it's summon. So they should hopefully focus on that. Ahri does finish off the kill, which is a good decision, and now that should translate into a dragon. So game has completely turned on its head. Cartoon Guy is 708, and you know what I would say as well, Cartoon Guy hasn't like KDA protected. He's been involved in fights when he has been, like, when he can be involved. His team has played a little bit sloppy, but they're starting to bring it a bit back together, which is good. And if anything, the enemy team, it kind of gives me the vibe of the enemy team. To me, it feels like they thought they won this game and they dropped their guard. And you know, that's when there is a Xerath that's just getting caught and stuff. And it does happen. It's the nature of the game. But yeah, Xerath obviously with Medjay is weird. I forgot to also mention it early. The tier purchase from him is very peculiar. He's also got Xerath in his name, so presumably a main. Xerath doesn't need tier, so he should be buying a Lost Chapter item first, which I think he did with Ludens, and then Xerath has a mana regain passive, so really shouldn't need tier. Obviously you could say we're in low silver, so maybe he just doesn't have that absolute confidence to kind of keep that mana up, and tier gives him that mana use. Gives him the mana use constantly. So yeah, I don't, by the way, mind this side laning on Ahri, just as long as you teleport when it is absolutely needed. So right now I would potentially teleport. Nunu gets caught again. Enemy team is on the back foot. Ahri is TP, like, facing and now teleporting in. So it's very good. You've gotten away with it. Like, at the moment, your team is kind of winning the fight. But I would potentially go for an engage here. Without being... There you go. I'll keep going. Keep going. Go for the jinx. Go for the jinx. Go for the jinx. And sometimes just use the ultimate to travel. Very nice. And this is what we want. So again, wasn't involved in the initial fight, but then cleans up at the end. That's what matters the most. So overall, pretty good. Again, I didn't mind the going top lane at that moment, because with Baron buff, you want to... What was it? Did they have Baron? No, I don't think they had Baron. But you want, basically, when you're starting to build a lead, you're wanting that positive pressure in all lanes. And with teleport available, definitely. If anything, I would say maybe not basing, then teleporting. I think would have... And again, Charm, and he's dead. I think there is a world... He gets eaten, but he's going to die. I think there's a world that I think instead of basing first, I would have just instantly teleported. But yeah. So I would say one of the major things that has caused this to be a win for sure has been the Nunu. I think we can't really hide behind that. The Nunu was pretty fed, and then he was 10 deaths, I think, pretty early on, and he now has finished at 10 deaths. So he just got caught as the game went on. It's easier to get away with something like AP Nunu in lane phase, but then in late game when you're all grouping, the amount of CC that a random charm or a Nami ult or bubble or a set E, he's not going to be realistically get that big snowball off in grouping situations, and that's all he's trying to play for. But overall, I'd say, again, 9/10 as a KDA, 230 farm. I think everything is pretty positive. I definitely think farming is a big thing. Quite a lot of gold, especially cannons, Huzzy cannons, has been missed in the lane phase. But I think the roam opportunities that Cartoon Guy took was pretty good. I think decision-making overall was pretty good. I'd, again, potentially do a little bit of research. Again, I might do it even like right now just to have a little glance. I'm not 100% sure the Ahri build, as I said, you don't want 2 Lost Chapter items. Yeah, so the standard build right now on Ahri is Malignant's first item, then tier 2 boots, well then a Medjay, but then the actual first item is a Death Cap or Zhonya's. So there isn't having a Malignance and a Ludens. So, you know, it's where, like, it's not bad for damage, but it's basically you're getting too much mana, realistically, for what Ahri needs. So that gold, every item basically is... The gold that is the item costing, you're buying stats, obviously. So part of the item cost you're putting into getting a Ludens is mana, and you don't need that mana with having a Malignance, which is also a mana item. But anyway, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play.
Join the family tree. Like, comment, and subscribe.